Assalamu alaikum. This episode is going to be about freedom, liberty, self-expression, all that weird gay liberal stuff. But we're going to talk about it in the right context because everything has a place. Now, firstly, I want to start off by explaining something about my current situation that hopefully you'll be able to draw something from. Me making this podcast right now, me making all those reels that I made yesterday, it doesn't make any sense for me to be doing that. If anyone from my community saw me doing that, they would all think I'm retarded. I'm talking about people, within my family, my distant cousins, my aunties, uncles, whatever. If they saw that, they would think, what the hell's wrong with this guy? What's wrong with you? And they would try to talk me out of it. And maybe I come from a hyper-conservative community, but I think pretty much any community limits the hell out of you to a very, very large extent. Just think for a second how it makes sense for someone like me to be talking about these things. Like the reels that I made calling out hijabis, like talking about, breathing and talking about like integrating Islam with self-improvement. No one in my family has ever done that. They never talked about that, bro. They don't give a damn. They don't even think about working out or anything like that. Their life is just straightforward, right? You go to uni, this is valuable, this isn't valuable. Islam is like secondary to this, and yeah, it's stupid. It's pretty stupid. When communities exist for a long time, they become more and more retarded because they hold on to things that worked in the past. For someone like you, whose family probably grew up in a very hyper-conservative environment, it's stupid because they've frozen in time because they saw these things work, like going to uni, like being a good little boy for your entire life and obeying and being a pussy. It worked at the time because it was really dangerous. But the problem with people and their rigid brains is when they see something work, they assume this is the ultimate life recipe that just works forever. The only thing that works forever is Islam. That's it. But what these people are doing is somewhat segregated from Islam. It's a branch. Yeah, it's influenced by Islam to an extent, but it is more so influenced by how people were living at the time they were growing up. So your goal as someone who is watching me, so you're automatically a Chad, is to loosen your mind. Your mind is most likely extremely rigid at the moment. And if you allow your brain to stay rigid after a certain point, I would say maybe till you're like 27, 28, you will most likely be like that forever. You will live the exact same way forever because we are creatures of habit. When we keep doing the same thing, it becomes automatic. We can't even help it. So you will literally become like, you literally won't be able to change as hard as you try. It's like, when we sneeze, we get used to closing our eyes. It's like an automatic thing. That's what it's going to become like. You won't know, you won't be able to think creatively and express yourself because you've suppressed that part of you for so long. And that's a very, very sad life to live. So just listen to Uncle Boris. How do you free up your mind? You need to consume content, books, videos, movies that will give you a new perspective. This is what I see on social media. People see some really cool stuff, right? Like they see videos from philosophers, psychologists, and like Jordan Peterson was a massive thing, Joe Rogan was a massive thing. But because we Muslims are so rigid, we instantly scrutinize those things. Jordan Peterson, he doesn't like Muslims. He said about this, about Palestine, this. So nothing he says is right. Joe Rogan doesn't like religion, he's haram, he's a kuffar, he's a bad, he smokes weed, blah, 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 blah. Bro, you're not perfect either. You know, there are things that he's doing right that you're not doing right. Who's better in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't know. So how about you just shut the hell up and respect people for what they're good at? You know? And that's when you start to develop a certain mindset. You need to start reading books that are unconventional, that normally nobody in your community would read. Underground books. I'm talking about The Way of the Superior Man. I'm talking about 48 Laws of Power. These odd books. Why would anybody read that? That's the point. It's going to change your mindset. This is the strange thing. For some reason, when you develop goals that are your own, personally matching to your personality, you are way more likely to achieve them. If someone else gives you goals, even if they are very lucrative, even if they are so like, yeah, I want that very much, you're still not as likely to achieve them for some reason. The brain is organized in a way where the only thing that can tell you what to do is the divine voice. When you get called towards something, and you know it's a call towards something greater than you, that's so positive, and you follow it. This is how all the prophets from the Quran accomplished what they accomplished. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he got a call. You know, he was living a very luxurious life. He didn't need to do anything. He got a call from the divine. It wasn't someone else. It wasn't his logic. It didn't make sense for him to leave his environment and pursue this very dangerous thing where he abandoned his wife, he abandoned his rich family, everything. Why did he do that? In the modern Muslim world, when someone does something like that, we scrutinize them. Why is it so hard for me to say that? Anyway, am I comparing myself to any prophets? Absolutely not. Not even 1% close. But every single man, every single woman has the call of the divine in their minds. When I decide to make these videos and I try to make these unusual podcasts to change the wiring of the brains of my fellow Muslims, there's no incentive. Maybe there is a bit of an incentive, but there's no real logical reason for me to be doing that other than the divine call. I get called to conscious. Okay, I'm starting to sound crazy, but you know what I mean. When I was young and I was presenting lectures in front of the class in my school, anytime it was something related to psychology, the way people thought, something just clicked in my brain that I did not know where the hell that came from. I would have written like a list of things to talk about. It was like a script. But as soon as I got up that stage and people were watching, I saw the people's eyes. I instantly stopped reading automatically. I couldn't help it, and I just started spitting my own opinions. And I would always get good grades, even though I didn't base it off any research or anything. I would just lie and I got it from somewhere else. That's the call of the divine. When you think about it, when you were young, something interested you a lot. It could be numbers when you did math. It could be physical work. It could be martial arts. It could be it could be words, letters, sentences. It could be sports, inspiring people. You take that and you dig into it. You don't move away from it and be like, oh yeah, I'm okay good at this, but I'm not good at math, so I have to learn math. You don't think that right away. You keep digging. Why am I so inspired by this? How far can I take this? And then you understand your goal in life, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has planted inside you when He created you. What I'm talking about here is profound. I've never seen any Muslim talk about these things. I believe this is the next step. It sounds so innovative when I say that, but I don't think it is. Every single country has their own ways of interpreting Islam. Uzbeks are very practical. They integrate it with the modern world, which may or may not be a good thing. Certain places like Afghanistan, they keep it exactly the same. They live under the laws that were the same, like a law like when Islam was first created. So which one is right? It's hard to say one is right and one is wrong, because even they do things that don't make sense. Even they have to adjust some things. This is not to say Islam doesn't work in the modern world or anything like that. The thing is, Islam has too many interpretations for us to say this is exactly how we should be living. And the best interpretation is the one that works the best, that makes people most halal, that makes people sin the least. The Western interpretation of Islam is completely screwed. They try to hold on to the extreme, but then in some other things they go to the other extreme. This is why Western Muslims can't keep up with the deen. They don't care. They just sin all day long. Why? Because they don't have an actionable framework of Islam. And that's what I'm trying to provide to you right here. When you finally free up your mind and you stop basing your actions off your upbringing, your community, and you study Islam firstly, and you study yourself, and then you base your life off of that, you create a whole new revolution in your life and the life of others. People will hate you for it. Your family, everybody, your friends will think you're retarded. But if you follow on that path, you will crave something out where you will literally create a new order. You will have a family, you will have a community that's yours, that's based off your interpretations. And this should be extremely motivating to you. The way we live in Uzbekistan is derived from the character and the actions of Amir Timur. It's the guy who invaded like half the world. He was like the emperor of Uzbekistan. He set a new order. Before him, Uzbekistan was completely different. And that one man changed and by the way, he was a very strict Muslim, so before you go crazy, just shut the hell up. He transformed the entire country based off his own character. You can do that at a micro level. You have a family, you have a group of friends, community who start following you because you went against the original script of how people expect you to live. You start forming a little cult, which has a very bad annotation in the modern world, but that's not a bad thing necessarily, because every single king, every single country has a cult. People follow his mindset, and when someone's smart and someone's interpreting religion the right way, people have to follow him because that's the right thing to do. Am I saying I'm that guy? No, but I have a certain amount of people who watch me and they follow what I think, and I would argue all day long that the way they will act and live is going to be more practical in the modern world, and it's going to help them succeed and become better Muslims. I don't care that it doesn't align with the original communal mindset, because it aligns with the reality. That's the point. So, as an action step for this podcast, I need you to start figuring out how you would be acting if you didn't have any of the influence from the people around you. If your brain automatically starts saying, I'm going to smoke weed, I'm going to get drunk, I'm going to go to restaurants all day, every day, then there's something wrong with you, and this message is not for you. However, if you're a normal person and you've been watching my channel for a while, I shouldn't say normal, if you're a high tier person and you've been watching this channel, your brain should automatically lead you into the most constructive path. you would think, okay, I should be going to gym every day, every morning. I should be praying Fajr every morning, and I should start training MMA, and I should start trying out all the jobs, and I should start reading these books. I should start watching Boris's videos and podcasts 10 times over and over for the rest of my years. Maybe not that far. But you know what I mean. You're going to start finding ways to self-improve. Once you find that, you need to keep pushing into it. And you need to stop caring what other people think about you pursuing that path. That's all I have to say for this podcast. Give me a comment of what you think about this message. If you liked the podcast, give me a positive message. You're a very good looking man. You're in a good shape. You're a good speaker and whatnot. If you didn't like it, say something bad about my eyebrows or my hair, or my facial hair looks kind of weird today. Say something negative, because it's good for the engagement.